I'm Todd Selby. I'm a photographer and short film maker, commercial director guy, illustrator, blogger, OG blogger right here. All right, so origin story. I worked at Details magazine in 2000. Then I was a editorial photographer working for magazines for a bunch of years, and magazines kind of had their time, and I jumped on the blogger bandwagon. This is where it all started. I'm very kind of emotional because it's about 15 years ago, almost to the day, that started my blogger journey as a confused person ambling around this apartment and taking photographs and Polaroids of William Eden in his habitat. And basically, we sealed William in the apartment after the shoot, and it is a time capsule. It is the exact same. It's pretty amazing.
You have the photos.
Ah.
Would you like to?
Yes. Well, can we get William in at this time? Is it okay? Can he sit? Or will it work? Just talk into my neck. Sit here. Talk in the crop, man. In the crop. You got to get closer. This is the first of the Selby blog, OG blogger, 2008, and is that mirror right there? The mirror is right behind the camera. You guys don't see this, but it's a dark shadow of William lurking in the background.
We could recreate it.
We could even recreate it, but we'd have to move the camera, so forget it. William's wearing his wizard hat, right? But you won't wear it again? We don't wear it? Come on, put it on. Right, here, this is a different one.
Witch's hat.
Yeah, so now it's a lot of things have changed, including the witch's hat. Yeah, and this is actually a big shot Polaroid. I took Polaroids, big shot Polaroids. Shout out Andy Warhol. Polaroid film. Shooting with the roll. I replaced the rollers with the Mamiya RZ rollers. Shout out Mamiya RZ. Pulling those Polaroids, using those flash cubes on William. We were very kind of confused. Were those your shoes?
I guess.
No laces? His turntables?
Everything's kind of the same.
Everything's kind of the same, which is pretty beautiful, you know, because it's a time capsule. And for most of the shoots that I've done since then, the places have really changed quickly, often, especially if it's like kids or whatever, you know, it's like this moment of time. But Williams kept his grip firmly on that moment, which is really, you know, it changed my life and didn't change his life. So, meeting William, when did I meet William Eden? I don't really know. The 90s. It was a confusing time, the 90s. It's a bit hazy. Maybe I was a graphic designer, and before I was a photographer, met William. And then suddenly, you know, all the little things I've done, like making films or starting my blog, it starts with William. He's my good luck charm in that regard, right? Because like one of my first films I made was William's Crystal Corner.
William's Crystal Corner.
Which still someone mentioned it to me last night. You know, I think I like start at the top and then work my way down creatively.
Way ahead of the crystal curve.
Yeah. Yeah, William's
Years ahead.
William's unfortunately a little too ahead of his time. It's his curse. Here, William, go stand out of the frame. Here we go. Stand by, William.
Is this continuity?
Continuity.
It adds to it.
Oh, nice. God, now we got to do the whole thing with the thing.
All right, let's start from the top.
Favorite part of my job is going to people's spaces, their home, their like small business, where they have something that shows their personality in their place. So that's definitely like what and why I've been doing it for so many years, and I will continue to do it because it's interesting and it's fun and it's exciting to visit people in their spaces and just get a glimpse into their world. And often I like it to be really, sometimes it's quite kind of normal and ordinary, but that's very rare. Most of the time it's like push maximalist, minimalist, luxury, you know, tree house, bungalow in the middle of nowhere, you know, like extreme life, because it's just trying to keep myself stimulated and learning, and it's really an amazing thing that I've been able to kind of do it for so long. I feel like the Selby's in Your Place blog, done like over 500 shoots for it, posted. I have 150 still to go that I've already shot. I post one a week and it's just going. So I feel like I can definitely keep going with it for another 20 years or so, at least. The first book was called The Selby in Your Place, which was kind of a close grouping of, after my blog came out and became popular, it was it was just publishing that. And then the follow-up books, I wanted to kind of take the same concept of people, creative people in their spaces, and twist the subject matter, so it wasn't the same thing, oh, part 1, part 2, part 3. So the second book was called Edible Selby, and that was about creatives in the food world. And I did that with T Magazine, so I had a column and a few other magazines. And then Fashionable Selby, which was creatives in the fashion world, and then my book that comes out in a year. Well, to tell you about that when it comes out. I started doing illustrations for my first book because when I started laying out the book and working with the designers and the editors, like it was all digital photography, but I didn't want it to feel just like a portfolio of images. I wanted it to feel much more human and like a journal. So journalistic in that sense of a journal. So I was really started messing around with using all the captions are handwritten, and I started doing little watercolor crude paintings to just give it a feeling of like, this is my journey and this is very human, and these rough watercolors I think added to the vibe of it. And actually I was doing a photo shoot with Leslie Arfin, who's a writer and person I knew around New York, and I was taking pictures of her and I was saying like, oh, I really want to like include people's voice, like the subjects. Not a good writer. I'm a terrible writer. So I can't just like write something that'd be interesting about all the people I visit. She said, oh, well, why don't you just handwrite questions and then they can write it? I was like, oh my God. So she came up with the idea and I did that ever since. So that's also in the book. It's like the illustrations, the photos, the hand done captions, and the Q. So I have like that formula, which was birthed basically here. I don't think we did a Q&A yet in 2008, but very soon kind of had this working system. A lot of what I do as a commercial artist and photographer is collaborative, and the way that I approach the collaborations, I have a kind of skill set and I have things I can bring to the table, like helping with the casting or locations or concepting sometimes. You know, I can bring all that to the table and I can offer, it's always in a sense of like me offering suggestions and like, oh, here's my suggestion on favorite location and favorite talent and favorite this. But when you're in the commercial world and advertising, there's like so many different hoops and layers of everything to go through that I think that there's like just always trying to like push things creatively and try to in a helpful way is the best. I mean, that's the way that I've taken it. Yes, the team adjusts on per job. Aaron Feely, photo agent extraordinaire, handles my photography agenting. Been with Bernstein and Drewley 16 years. Maybe, I don't know, math check, I don't know. Here, I'll point this way, that many years. So Erin holds it down, and then Camilla Ferenzi, producer extraordinaire. So it's great because she can help with talking to clients and figuring out the jobs and putting estimates and then producing and being on set. And so having that like continuity. You know, William, you know, we're in his place right now, and I was mentioning it started here. He was actually, so when I first, this is a bit of a side story. So I worked in a magazine, this is 2000, I took night classes. Actually, I shouldn't make that plural. I took a night class and it was called Studio Photography. And that's where I learned how to do 4x5 and what an f-stop was and exposure and blah, blah. And William William was like my model when we had like bring your own model day, right, William? You remember that? He kind of remembers, but there was like a day where like invite your, you know, and then I remember there's like a lady there with a red boa, like a feather boa, who was like doing stuff, and then I had William, and I was like taking pictures of William, and then all these like other students were like taking pictures of William, and it was like, and then then I started getting assignment. I had a little portfolio, and I started getting assignments, and William was my first photo assistant. But it was really funny because like William like knew as much as me, which was like absolutely nothing. Like we had a moment when we were shooting for Dazed and Confused, we couldn't get the lens cap off the camera. And we were like, right? You remember that shit? We carried the lights and the things in the B&H plastic bags and the boxes. So we like, oh my God, did it. Always had an interesting team, and a lot of the same people that I worked with since day one, including William, but other people have kind of had a sort of kind of a tight-knit grouping of people. And I think that's part of what I like about it is like people who definitely a quirky bunch, but a hardworking and creative bunch who has their own thing, and kind of, it's been a great journey. I think the main thing that inspires me creatively is like real people, their spaces, eccentric characters, oddballs. I grew up in Orange County, California, in the suburbs. Orange County is big, but I grew up like in the suburbs, and it was just like tree, and it just turned into like house, and it was very dull. And I remember, like, to me, when I was growing up, my hero was this one kid who always wore a backpack and kind of referred to him as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle himself, and he would always draw Garfield. He would, like every recess, every lunch, he was drawing Garfield, and he'd be like, okay, tell me, what's Garfield doing? And you'd like throw out an idea, like Garfield's skateboarding, or Garfield's on the phone, or Garfield's eating spaghetti, and he would just draw it. And to me, I was just like, wow, like this guy, the artist, this is a so to me, it's like always been about the creators since day one. And I didn't even know about being a photographer. That was a thing. I knew about National Geographic and animals and that sort of stuff, but like didn't know that could be a profession or my thing. But that was always what I loved. And like people also, like I remember in high school when people would be like, hey, like you should come visit me sometime in Georgia, or my uncle's got a place. I'd be like, okay, cool. And I would go. That was, so it's always been my thing. Professional advice I would give myself. Well, I think that I guess I'm happy with how my path turned out, but the way, and I definitely had like many years of like having long walks around New York City and having iced coffee and going to Cafe Mogador for 2 hours every single day. There was a lot of leisure time, and I'm happy I had all that, time. But I think like once you get more serious, it's being a photographer or kind of a creator is hard. It's a job. If you don't treat it like a job, it won't be a job. You got to really put in the time and the hours and the work, and if you want it to be a career, rather than a hobby. I think when I'm speaking to prospective clients, or my clients know, they come to me when they're looking for something about real people and humanity, and it's positive. It's like it's whatever when I do it, it's all like I never am making fun of people or doing anything negative. It's always like a really like it's always been a celebratory of different people and unique people and people finding their own path. So I think people come to me for that in terms of my clients. And, I have like it's been great. Like my client list is from fashion companies to electronics, and it's really spanned a lot of different stuff. And I think the root of what they come to me for is about real people and a sense of humanity in some way. On set, I feel like I've had training on set. I've been doing it a long time. I didn't, as I mentioned before, I didn't know anything when I started. And I went to one class of night school, so I didn't learn anything in school for sure about any of these things. So I had to learn, and I wanted to, I want people to have a nice time on set. It's really my thing. I guess one of my main things on set is like a nice atmosphere and respectful people and positive vibes, definitely. And then the next thing is like it's almost my religion is like the boards, shooting the boards first. Like I shoot the boards first, and I try to. I will if Camilla or sometimes I'm working with Elle Sullivan Wilson, awesome producer, or somebody. If I have to be not to, I will. But my religion and my desire, my deepest thing is like we've talked about this thing for weeks and months. Let's just do that first, and then we can do whatever. Because like we talk about all this stuff. Well, all of a sudden, let's go outside. Let's go this. Let's go to the water. Let's go out here. Like yes, let's do. But first, let's do what we've agreed, and then we can. So I feel like, and then I feel comfortable that we're gonna come away. So that's like one of my things. The other thing is like a set surprise. My clients will know about. So we always do a Selby set surprise, and we'll do something fun at lunch, or have like mariachi band come, or some great food thing, or some. Cobra Snake come and do like a gifting suite, or, we do like of his merch, and, we do something fun. I'll do it, and my clients will post about it, and they'll take pictures, and I'll take pictures, and my other clients get FOMO, and then they're like, oh, we're missing out on that great thing. Oh gosh, you guys got the sushi and the mariachis. But so we have fun with it. A lot of time it's food related, and it's treat. And a lot of people can have some mixed emotions about like, we'll always have like really good food. on set. And so they've already like eaten a lot, and then there's more food that comes. So sometimes they're like, oh God, oh, now where there's beignets and oh, you know, so I think the best Selby sets of surprises are ones that have like caffeine with it. So if there's like coffee plus a treat, they can, you know, a downer and an upper to kind of level it out. Because sometimes they, you know, no, I think it just kind of like was an organic thing that happened through the years. I don't know if there's like a first Selby set surprise, but like Brandon Harmon, who was, we were shooting in Mexico, and Brandon was helping me out, and he paid for he met a saxophonist, and he paid the saxophonist to follow me around and play the saxophone. So I think it kind of like happened that way. So I think like a lot of the best things like that have happened in my career, like have been adopted along the way as we've, you know, things have happened and we're like, oh, that's cool, we should do that. Or like the Q&As or like this thing, you know, it's just kind of been a layering of these, you know, things. Also like mini books, my clients will know mini books we do. Like, so when we're scouting for a job, I always take these like test photos, and they're kind of, you know, it's of William or of someone else, and they're in place, and we kind of figure out the blocking. With that blocking, you know, it kind of helps when we do the pre-pro, and then we print it out into a mini book that we hang on a lanyard and given to everyone. Because what makes me insane is like when we're like, when you go into like a room and you're like, you guys just propped out the kitchen, but we're shooting the living room, you know, which can happen if people like, so this little miniature book that they have on them that's literally clipped to their body that everybody's like, okay, we're going to here next, and we go here. So it's like a very smooth system that we've developed. And it's unfortunate we have to print, you know, books and do a lot. So it's some added work, but it's really a nice little touch. So, okay, my personal philosophy is the way I shoot. You have to shoot the boards first. Verts don't hurt, something I say. Start wide and then move in. I think I think that makes sense. Like if you're doing any kind of shoot or shot, if you start tight and it's looking good and then you pull back and then, oh, that's not like, you can lead to some problems, and you can also forget and it's confusing. So I always start wide, the full scene, and everyone's like, okay, great, I like that. I like how that looks. I like how the product is, or like, you know, this works, and then you can go in. So I always try to do that. I attempt to try to make my sets or my locations as like open-ended as possible, so I could try to really move around as much as you can as opposed to locking yourself in. It's not always possible, but I think that being able to have that freedom, and some of that has to do with like keeping all the production stuff outside of the house. Usually we shoot in houses and things like that. It's like keep the production outside and try to hide the trucks so that you can kind of move around. So there's a lot of stuff like that I've learned over the years. You don't want to hear from William? No more William. Too much William. You've over-indexed on William.
No, I was going to say that we have something that we wanted to share with you, but you need to go to an alternate location.
Oh. All right. Okay. All right. Is it a blindfold? Yeah. Okay. Hold that, William. All right. Blindfolding up. All right, William, you lead me.
What do you mean? Okay, so I'll do it
You lead me.
this way. Come.
Better not f up that angle. All right.
Have it like this.
Ah! 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 Ah!
Okay.
Oh my God!
Come over here.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God! So good. Ah!
I can hold on to that.
Remove the.
And
I'm scared.
I'm gonna pull up your blindfold. Don't be afraid.
I'm scared. Ah!
Hey!
Whoa. But I have to wear blindfold. Yeah! Ready? Yeah! Wow. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be some sort of llama, like a live animal.